Hi there everybody, it's Rarity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you for joining me again today for another card making video. And today we are using Joy of Noel. So this is a photopolymer stamp set with coordinating dies, so it's a bundle. So don't forget, when you purchase a stamp set with coordinating dies, they do have a bundle price for the first time they enter the catalogue. So this is a new set, so purchasing these together you save 10%. Alright, okay, no obligation to buy them both, you can buy them separately, but it's really nice to have coordinating dies for some of these more intricate little bits and pieces. So there are dies that coordinate with the images, but also some standalone things. So there's like little berries with the holly leaves, so you can actually build up some very intricate wreaths and things of your own. And these are like, this die cuts out 5 different little sprigs that you can use as well. So some versatility within that set if you wish to go there with that. A couple of little sentiments as well, and a to and a from, so you could make some tags as well. And then I really like this little stamp here. So the stamp itself, if I just grab it, is will stamp as a word in this sort of orientation, so that it's in a square like that. So if you stamp it flat, but there is a coordinating die, okay, which means then the letters become separate, so you can actually then put them out into a line if you want to. Okay, so you've got the sort of the twofer on that one, just so that you know. Okay, so we're going to be doing stamping blends today. Haven't got out my blends for a while with you guys, so figured we'd do that. I've got 2 of these images to colour. I've already done one ahead of time, so we're just going to do the one on camera today. Okay, so let's get cracking with that, because I'm going to change out the card base. This is a real red card base. We're going to go with shaded spruce just to move, change it up a little bit, and I'm bringing wild wheat because I just think it's this really nice sort of gold colour. When you use it in the right combination, I think it's really, it can look really, really pretty. So that's how I'm using it today, to give us that sort of mock gold sort of look. Okay, so as I say, we've got a bit of colouring to do, so I'm just going to bring in some scrap paper to just put this little scrap of cardstock onto. Because we're using our blends markers, we need a water-based ink to stamp our image. Okay, so we'll bring in the Memento. Any of the classic inks, Stampin' Up classic inks, they're all water-based, so if you wanted to do your outline in a different colour, you could. Just thought that while I was doing that, as I was saying that, I thought Pebbled Path might be a nice option, in that it's not, it's quite a deep colour, but it's a warmer grey. That would be nice. So just giving that from real firm pressure. It's a slightly larger stamp, okay, but it will come out beautifully. And just if you're wondering, this is an E block that this fits on. It's a little big for the D blocks, but it fits nicely onto an E block. Okay, so a couple of little quick things to do first is using a wild wheat marker and just the bullet tip, just to go over this spriggy thing that's here. Just wanted to bring in a bit more of that colour through. That was just the light marker, just to go over those lines really, just so that they're done. And then this is copper clay, which I'm going to use to go over all the little stems that we've got in here. So get all those covered. You know what, if you find you missed one, probably won't notice anyway, so no need to overthink that. I'm just going to pop that in just to give it just a little bit of an organic look, really. So all of the leaves are going to be using different combinations of these markers. We've got Parakeet Party, Shaded Spruce and Pretty Peacock for the greens here. Okay, so I'm going to start with these sort of pointier ones first. I figured I might zoom in somewhat so that you can actually see what I'm colouring, and it's going to be sort of backwards and forth with some of these colours, but that's how you're going to get the blend that you want. The inks aren't going to move unless there's something for them to move within, so you do need to have that ink down, and we can be as fussy or as not fussy as we like with these, and you can just see that I'm just popping on sort of some V's, if you like, or triangles or whatever you want to call them, and popping those down. So I started with the light Parakeet Party, then the dark. Now I've just done the light Shaded Spruce, and now this is the dark Shaded Spruce. So now this is going to go down on the stem there and at the base of that leaf. It's not quite meeting that one, that's fine. Okay, and then we're going to work back up and blend those lines together. I'm just keeping the caps kind of over the markers, but loose. They're not clipped shut because I'm going to be opening and closing them several times. Obviously you want to make sure that the lids are firmly clipped back on when you have finished colouring. So just working back up the palette, and don't worry if it looks a little bit blotchy in the first instance. The inks will merge together as they dry. With the lighter one you can even just come down into the other colours a little bit, which will help keep them moving. Okay, and that will start to dry and even itself out. So that's how that's looking at the moment. Okay, and it goes straight through the back perfectly fine. That's how they work too. They're there. That ink is sort of going into the fibres of the paper and coming in. Right, so Parakeet Party we're done with, so we'll pop the lids firmly onto those ones. Okay, and then we're coming back to Shaded Spruce colour. So just like we did with the other set of leaves, the hollies that we've got here, I'm going to start with this lighter colour and bring it, I don't know, about a third of the way down. There's no particular technique. Just don't press hard. The nibs are soft, so you don't want to be pressing too hard with them and damaging them. Scrubbing away at the paper. They do make a bit of a noise, but I'm not pressing hard at all. Okay, so that's light dark Shaded Spruce, and then we're going to start bringing in the Pretty Peacock. So the light one, it's going to pop in at the bottom there. Leave some room for the dark one to come through. A bit tighter on this smaller one. Again, just leaving those lids loose because we're going to be working our way back up. So you may want to just use this darker one to come through on the stem as well. Just dropping that colour in at the base. With those leaves. So that one will be done. And then work our way back up just like we did with the other ones. The lighter, pretty peacock. So dark shaded spruce. And then we'll go over the tip again with the lighter marker, coming down again through the image, keeping that ink moving. And blending together. Especially where that junction is, it's quite a difference between the light and dark shaded spruce, but some of the markers don't have as much of a change in them. Okay, and once they dry, they come out really great. Okay, they just look a bit blotchy in the first instance. Okay, so these ones have dried now, and those colours have started to blend through really nicely. Okay, and then the berries, right, we're going to go a little bit rogue with our markers because I'm using 3 different reds, but using the dark marker of every single one. So we've got Cherry Cobbler, Real Red, and Poppy Parade, all in the dark shade to work together for our berries. Okay, because these are so small, I'm actually just going to use the bullet tip, and we're just going to pop that dark colour on the top of those, like so. Then we'll go to Real Red and just pop a little bit sort of around the outside of that. Doesn't matter if you go over the Cherry Cobbler. And then with the Poppy Parade, we're just going to go over the lots and make sure they're nice and filled in. Again, that will keep that ink wet and moving. The alcohol dries quickly, remember. That's why we like them. That's why I like them anyway. That, and you get these really lovely colouring effects with absolutely minimal effort. Okay, in real life they look much nicer. I absolutely love Stampin' Blends. Absolutely love it. Before we die cut this out, I'm going to add some Wink of Stella to the berries because I can. Totally optional. Don't have to do this. But you know, it just adds a little something to that image. Okay, so those all just twinkle away. Okay, and then we can start doing some of our die cutting. Okay, so it doesn't take long to dry. That Wink of Stella, it is a water-based product. Oops. Gonna actually, while that is drying, I'm going to bring in the Noel, and we'll use the Wild Wheat ink pad. I don't want to over ink it, I just want to do it nice and gently. And I'm just going to make sure that that's clean, so I can just see a little bit of something on there. So I'm just going to wipe that off and just make sure that's as clean as it can be. Okay, that looks better. So the wild wheat ink pad, because it's quite new, is really juicy. So there is some detail in this stamp which doesn't entirely come through with a really wet ink pad, but for this card I don't think I mind too much. Okay, so that's that, and like I say, this die will go right over the top of that. Okay, again, ideally I want to put some wink on this, and on my sample card I did this after die cutting it and sticking it all together as a bit of an afterthought, so just makes it a little bit trickier. Not hard necessarily, just trickier. Okay, and it doesn't matter too much if you go outside the lines particularly, because we're die cutting it out. Okay, beautiful. So again, that's going to look all lovely and sparkly. Like I say, with a drier ink pad, the detail in that stamp would come through a little bit more clearly. So we've got a coordinating die for this, so we'll just place that over the top, and you want to make sure that that's nice and secure and not going to move. I'm just going to pop a little bit of low tack tape on this. It's just a bit of washi, and just to hold off a new strip, I'm just going to take off that first couple of layers of sticky off on the back of my hand, and then we'll pop this over the top and secure that in place, and we can run those through the die cut machine. So I've got the Big Boss, so I'm going to roll those through. Off. When your machine gets as much love as mine, things will sort of stick into your cutting plates, but it's perfectly fine. You just have to peel them off. There we go, really lovely die cut. So I've got two of them now, and then we've got our, I'm going to call them gold letters. That's what we're using them as. Just clearing these away. So again, you might want to use like your pokey tool or something to help get these off. But I will keep using these cutting plates until they won't even go through anymore, or they split or whatever. So this lasts, honestly, it really lasts such a long time when you can't even see my hand through it anymore. But I'm going to keep going, and I keep sort of flipping it over so it's not completely flat, but if you keep switching it over, it'll sort of not overly warp, and then eventually it'll get to a point where it'll have had enough. So I've always got like a spare set, and then once this one gives up the ghost, I'll chuck that one, and the one that I've been using as a top plate, which does get dinks in it, the pressure of the machine does make marks into that plate, so it's not been cut into, but it's got impressions on it. That becomes my new bottom plate, and then I get a brand new top plate to go on top. So that's how I recycle through my cutting plates, get the most use out of them. Okay, so I've already got these guys done. Okay, and then the Noel, I've already cut this 3 times and glued the die cuts together to make them really thick. The camera won't focus on it. Okay, I don't know, it won't focus, but there we go. So it gives them a bit of rigidity. Okay, so I'm going to grab wet glue and block actually, and we're going to just put this final layer onto the back of here. So obviously I didn't think you wanted to see me die cut that 4 times and glue all those. So a bit of wet glue on there, and then line them up properly, Verity. It's made that look really, really hard because I didn't realise the N it wasn't the same. There's no little corner on the top of that there, which makes you wonder if I've put, yeah, this is right, so that is the top, goes that way around, just referring to my actual die to tell me that. Okay, a little bit of glue has escaped off the side there, so I'm just going to wipe that away. Okay, I'm going to pop that over there. Okay, and I'm going to stick a block on top of it, and we'll just rinse and repeat with those other letters. Don't need a lot of this glue, it's really, really strong, so as long as you've got it in key positions it'll be fine. Oh, it'll keep hold. Okay, just use your fingers to make sure it's all lined up. So depending on your project, this is a good way to add dimension to it if you want to, and not use like a dimensional adhesive or something. So actually no, I can't remember. Do we still have the stuff that you can die cut that makes it thick? Like, I don't know. I don't know. And I use basic white for this, the regular basic white. But again, if you used a thick basic white, you might get away with just 3 of these to achieve the same kind of look. So they're just going to pop into that block. It's just off the camera. So I've just got a D block, and I've just got them just being secured there. Okay, so that's just happening over there, while they just make sure that they're all nice and dry. And we need to do our the base layer. Okay, so first things first is we're going to use this piece, which is 5.5 by 3 3/3. Just looking for a piece of, that'll do, something that I can just lie this on top of. Okay, and I'm going to use like some post-it sort of sticky paper stuff to mask off a section of this, and about there maybe. So the grid lines are going to help me keep that kind of straight, she says, getting it wonky. You probably won't notice anyway, if it's just a hair out. Not particularly measuring it, it's about there, whatever there is. And I'm going to go back to this stamp, to create this background at the bottom here. Now I stamped that in black. Now I don't know about you, but I kind of feel like it's maybe a little bit fussy. So I wondered whether doing it in a lighter colour like Smoky Slate would be better, or grey granite maybe. Or do we want to do it in like crumb cake? Crumb cake might be nice. It might fit better with the what's that called? With the shaded spruce. Let's go with crumb cake. Okay, and this is just going to be used to create, like I say, a little bit of a backdrop for this. So just using the stamp, twizzling it around to fill this in. Try not to overlap it particularly. And we can just use portions of it here and there just to emphasise certain bits. Try and get that holly leaf in a little bit there. Okay, so it just gives us a little bit of interest on the back, on the bottom there. There is going to be a whole heap of stuff kind of on top of it, so it just gives it a little bit of area of interest. And again, I'm coming back to the Wink of Stella and using that on those berries, even though they're not necessarily in a uniform place. It will add just a hint of something in the background that, you know, the recipient will catch when these cards are sitting on their shelf or whatever. Okay, so I probably should have done what I was going to do first, which is grab a bit of a blending brush and add some ink to there. So this is just I'm just going to pick up whatever residual ink is left on this. This is the one I've just used on another project for with wild wheat, so it's going to be the right colour, or it's going to be near as it anyway. So I just want to emphasise this border a little bit and create some interest by just inking over the top of that. Holding the handle away from the head of the brush to be nice and gentle with it, so you don't overdo it, and just along this edge, not going down the side or anything, just along this edge. The sparkle's still coming through, so that's fine. I think that's a little bit more subtle than having the black. I think that's nice. Okay, and then when we peel this away, we should end up with a nice line across there. Okay, for us to then embellish. So for this one, I've actually opted to add a little bit of texture by adding on some of this lovely white herringbone ribbon. So we'll just cut a length of that. I'm not doing a bow or anything, it's just going on to add some texture. So I'm just going to secure that on the back with a couple of strips of seal adhesive. And again, you might want to have it further down if you want to, but I want it just covering that raw edge of the ink there. Just so it transitions across. On the project. getting that straight. If you feel like you want to put a glue dot behind that just to help it stay in place, you can. I think we'll have other stuff going on that will help keep that in place, so that's up to you if you want to have that extra level of security. Then we're popping this onto our wild wheat layer. So this is our 4 by 5 3/4. This is a full card layer, so we've got a slightly deeper border than we normally have. Okay, I think I might have smudged my Wink of Stella a little bit, but it doesn't matter. Okay, and then this is going onto our card base. Which is Shaded Spruce. Okay, this is only going to be a little skinny layer. That's done. Thank you. Okay, just make sure that crease is all in. So our lovely motifs are going to go on now. Across here. Quite like the berries showing because they add that sort of pop of red. So I think they're going around something like that. So I'm just popping dimensionals at either end of these just to secure them in place. Just top and bottom. Take those backings off. So looking to sort of break the border a little bit. I think it sort of just helps everything connect together when you've got that overlap. Same down here, doesn't quite reach over there, but that's fine. Okay, so that's our lovely background. Maybe it would have been better without the stamping at all. I'll leave that with you to decide whether that's necessary or not. And then our little letters, even though we've got the dimension on, these are going to have some dimensionals on them, and I'm actually going to use some tweezers to help me with this because I need these to be, they just fit basically, so I just want to be able to see where I'm going, and sometimes your fingers just sort of get in the way a little bit of where you want to see where you're going. So, and I want the sort of flat side, if you like. Does that sound stupid? And have a flat edge there. So they'll fit better. So, sort of avoiding the bottom because they're going to overlap the ribbon a little bit, which is quite thick, and it's going to sort of add its own level of dimension, if you know what I mean. So what we will do now is take all those off. It's a little bit more fiddly on a little tiny thing like this. Some people like to use their pokey tools to help them with this. I don't seem to be blessed with the skills of doing that. I just watch people do it, they're like, oh, that's brilliant. But it doesn't seem to work for me for whatever reason. And then, just for a little bit of extra security, the bottom, I'm just going to put some dabs of the wet glue on. and I should have started with the N, because it doesn't matter if it goes over the holly, but I don't want it to go off the edge of the card, if you know what I mean. So let's pop our N in place. I say she's going to just tuck in, just overlapping that ribbon just ever so slightly. And this is where I'm just being careful that I don't actually spell Noel right. I have to say, when I was showing you the sample card, I looked at it twice because I was like, did I spell that right? The E. So looking to try and get them level and spaced out evenly. And say if the L overlaps the holly a little bit, that doesn't matter. I did on the sample. And actually I think it looks quite nice overlapping that, again, just to bring it all together. A bit like, you know, overlapping the edges a little bit. Just sort of ties it all together. Okay, that's it. I think it's fussy enough without having to add anything else onto it. It's definitely more muted on the green base, I would say, okay, compared to the red base. Okay, and then we've got the crumb cake in the background here rather than black. I just wonder whether it would actually look nice just having it clean and simple, actually. But it's something to play with. It's an idea for you anyway on how to use this particular stamp bundle, okay, with those lovely dies. Hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a bit of a longer video, but I think it's been worth it just to see all the steps that I went through with that. Okay, and it's one of those ones where all the individual steps probably don't take too long, so it's almost like you could do all the colouring and get everything die cut and prepare all your bases, and then once you've done all that, it kind of just goes together. So you could multiple up this as well if you wanted to do it in sort of like, you know, sort of stages. Okay then, that's it from me today. Of course, all the supplies I've used are going to be in the description. Hop along to the shop, have a look at the blog, wherever you like, and please do like and subscribe if it's the first time you've been here. Do stay safe, take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.